Hello everybody, welcome back. You're in Steve's Garage and I'm Steve. And today is, I don't know, it's another day. We're in the middle of the week somewhere. Anyway, beautiful Western Mass. Today is a beautiful day. Little light snow out there. Other than that, it's beautiful. So, where are we? I ask myself that question all the time. Where are we? So, if you watch the videos, we got the body off, okay? And I said I'm going to paint the body off the frame. So, in thinking about it, I'm like, I think I'm going to do all my chassis work, and then I'm going to put the body back on and paint the body on the frame, because using that I-beam in the system, there's just so many variables that can go wrong. If I'm going to scratch it, I'd rather do it in primer, easy repair, because if I scratch it when it's in paint, I don't even want to talk about it. So today, well, we got to mention one thing. Old Earl. Can you see Earl in the background there? Earl's word of the day is chassis. Now there's about as many S's in chassis as Mississippi. I don't know how they figured that one out. C-H-A-S-S-I-S, but chassis. So this car frame or car chassis that I have is a combination of two chassis. One is a car chassis from 1929, the motor and front end from that chassis. You know, it's all the front end work and motor, tranny, all that is from that car. I wanted to make a long speedster. Now, a Model A is 103 inches and some change. It's like 103 and 5/8 or 3/4, somewhere in there. So that's the wheelbase, okay? So that's center of wheel, the center of wheel, 103 inches. Now, you go talk about like a Duesenberg, where I kind of, chasing the name Duesenberg here for this project. A Duesenberg center of the wheel, the center of the wheel is 142 inch and some change. So it's a 142 inch wheelbase, okay? What I've created here is 126 inch wheelbase. So it's still shorter than a Duesenberg by, what's 26 to 42? 16 inches. So the wheelbase is shorter than a Duesenberg by 16 inches, longer than a Model A by, what's that? 13 inches, right? So we're 13 inches longer than Model A, but it gives it that nice, that sleek, long feel from the 20s I'm trying to create with this project. And again, this is an art car. It is what it is. What it winds up looking like is going to be, we'll see when it's done. But anyway, I've got a lot of work to do on this chassis, and we'll take a walk around and I'll show you what's going on here. So we'll start on the front end. Now you can see the frame here. All right. This is that nice hooked front end that we like to keep on our hot rods, so it stands out in front of the in front of the nose of the car. And this car frame came down to right here. Now this is how I got it. It was actually a doodlebug from a farm, and then I have a 29 car. This is a 29 frame here that we married, and we brought it in. If you can see where that cut is, it's in here. It's a couple of feet in, and then I bolted it on to start, and then started welding it all in, on both sides so I could run it. And then I drilled through and welded here through. So the whole thing still has to be welded up. I've got to add on a piece down here and bring this all up. It almost looks as thick as a 32 frame in a way. It's like 6 inches wide. So we're going to box a lot of stuff in. We're going to get this whole rear end fixed up and tied together. And this is, I put these shock mounts in for stabilizing underneath here. So you have shocks stable. And this is hard as a rock as it is. You can barely move it when you push it. So this is a 39 rear end. And we have, if you can see the fittings here, we have juice brakes in the back here. These are a hydraulic brake like you use today, a modern hydraulic brake. And in the front, from the old 29, these are still mechanical brakes. I've removed a couple of parts here. This pulled the brake. This part here came up and had a rod that you pull back, and it expands the brake open, and the pads, hit front and back. So we've got that to deal with. So the brakes being mechanical, here you can see this is the old brake lever here. We're going to remove this mechanical part. This was a rod here that drove the brakes, and if you see, that rod came back to here, and then that comes out to the side here, and there was another part on here which I cut off, and you can see under here, this ran levers. One went to the back, and then one went to the front, and those rods would pull on the mechanical brakes and mechanically expand your discs to stop the car. So they stopped that, in the, I don't know when it was, early 30s, mid 30s, and went to mechanical brakes. I'm not sure on that date exactly, but I've got to put a new stabilizer bar in the back and weld it up to the chassis up here, and that just keeps your rear end stable. It keeps the body level, left to right. What else? We have the emergency brake. But here's emergency brake cables here, all right? And they run down to the center and back from both sides. You can see it over there, right there. And what I'm going to do is put a setup in there, and I can reuse this emergency brake here. It has the plunger up top, that little, and then clicks in down the bottom there. And then this bar, which runs back and forth, that will grab onto the cable, and that will work our emergency brake. So that will all work. I have from Speedway Motors a master cylinder and brake pedal, which will mount right in here. So we'll have a brake pedal that will run a master cylinder, which will be down here. And this is where the old battery box was. We're going to take that battery box out, and the battery is going to go in the back of the trunk of the car, and I'll run a long cable up to the motor, and then we'll just ground it out in the back of the car here, So I hope I'm not going too fast for you on all that stuff, but there's a lot that has to happen here. We got to cut out a lot of stuff, old stuff to remove. The steering, we're still going to run this steering, just have to upgrade and tighten all this stuff up and replace a lot of sockets. Pretty straightforward, really. I'm also waiting on an adapter I want to do a compression test in this motor, because this motor, actually, it's got paint on it from me spraying and everything, but the motor is very clean. So it run great. So when I took I did change the oil in it, and I ran it for quite a while. But when you look at the oil now that comes out of here, the oil is very, very clean. It's kind of hard to see here, but that oil is very clean. So it tells me the engine is pretty clean inside. It may have been rebuilt at some time. I don't know. But the compression test will tell us that. And This is my compression test kit down here, but this is the Model A spark plugs, and they're just like 7/8 of an inch. They're very big. So none of my fittings fit with it, so I've got an adapter coming to do that. So getting back to our body. Body's off and on a nice roller setup that I've built for my first hot rod I made, so I can roll it around the shop and get it in and out of the way when I need to. Still have some filler to do, filler work and sanding, and just lots and lots and lots to do on it yet. And but happy with it as it is so far. It's looking good. Do not touch. And that piece I put inside to, that's welded down to the frame to remove this body, that just worked out perfectly. So I couldn't be happier with the way that came out. It looked a little crazy when I was doing it, but believe me, it was a lot easier than trying to take it off by hand. There's my winch. I always say winch. It's a winch. Which winch is winch? It's not a winch, it's a winch. So that's up there. I made those brackets that you can see up there, and it's bolted through a solid beam, so that thing's not going anywhere. Anyway, that's where we're at right now. When I start cutting this frame up and getting things together, I will do another video. These are I marked out where my points of attachment are on this frame. I've got eight points of attachment here. So really looking forward to getting going on this. Also, all the brakes have to come apart, be rebuilt, and all that. And we'll go through a whole video on that. And rebuilding all the brakes and putting pads and calipers and springs and all that stuff. So it's quite a bit left to do. Actually, it's like a brand new project. So to get to this point, to have the body built, it was almost exactly a year. And it was a year of nights, weekends. And again, I can only put so much time in. I've got a bad ankle that I've had basically my entire life, but for 40 years of construction, it's just worn down. Right now it's throbbing big time, because I was shoveling around the house and stuff. But it is what it is. It's just part of life. I'm not complaining, but I'm a lucky guy to be where I am now. I'm retired and get to do this stuff every day, and I put in whatever time I can, try to get 1 or 2 hours in a day. Do a lot of sitting and watching, because again, a lot of wear and tear on the old body. So that's it for today. That's your video. Chassis. Say goodbye to old Earl, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be good to your friends, be good to your family, say hello to everybody for me, and God bless.